The MD80, McDonnell Douglas's newest twin-jet airliner, underwent a rigorous flight test program prior to its certification by the FAA. These tests took the aircraft well beyond maneuvers encountered in normal revenue service. What follows are some of the highlights of those certification tests and their results. Before its first flight, the MD80 was subjected to structural proof load tests. Hydraulic jacks were used to apply loads on the structure. As the load increased to larger magnitudes, the wing deflected, eventually reaching a value in excess of 5 feet at the wing tip. These were very accurately controlled loads that gradually increased in intensity to 101% of design limit. At the same time, the slats and flaps were extended to confirm normal operation under load. During these tests, the MD80 structure achieved all design objectives. Proceeding to the flight test series, here the MD80 is first seen executing a normal takeoff. Now a group of stall tests are performed, the first being in the clean configuration, that is, with the flaps, slats, and landing gear retracted. The MD80 attains a steep pitch attitude as the aircraft stalls. It exhibits excellent characteristics through its stall and eventual recovery. The next test exhibited is the landing configuration stall with the flaps and landing gear extended. Again, the MD80 shows excellent characteristics approaching the stall, during the stall, and through recovery. We now have a minimum control speed test with the condition of engine failure at decision speed. The pilot applies a correction in directional control with only a minor deviation of the airplane. The takeoff continues successfully with operation on a single engine. This is a VMU test, accomplished to demonstrate minimum unstick speed capability with a failed engine. The MD80 is rotated down on the tail skid after the thrust is set to simulate an engine-out condition. The aircraft once again exhibits excellent characteristics and flies off on single-engine thrust. This is another VMU, or minimum unstick speed test, except this time, both engines are operating at normal thrust. As expected, the aircraft climbs more smartly under two-engine thrust as compared to the single-engine thrust seen in the previous test. This next test involves a rejected takeoff occurring at maximum takeoff weight at maximum brake energy. Full brakes are applied at approximately 185 knots and maintained to a full stop. The MD80 exhibits good directional control and excellent anti-skid braking. The aircraft is brought to a full stop with only minor smoking of the tires and no brake fire present. The MD80 now undergoes a test landing under wet runway conditions. The pilot purposely makes a firm landing with no reverse thrust applied. Only anti-skid braking was used to bring the aircraft to a stop. No hydroplaning occurs, and the aircraft exhibits excellent stopping capability on this very wet runway. This performance test landing is accomplished at maximum landing weight, and the MD80 is purposely landed at a very high sink rate with maximum braking applied immediately after touchdown. This maximum braking is held until the aircraft comes to a full stop. Good characteristics are again demonstrated. This test illustrates a landing situation that simulates the generally remote possibility of a total hydraulic failure with no flaps or slats extended. Approach speed is 185 knots. Touchdown occurs at about 175 knots. Thrust reversers are applied using the accumulators. Anti-skid braking is also achieved through the accumulators. Good directional control is maintained, and the aircraft demonstrates good stopping capability. No problems occurred despite these very adverse landing conditions. Flight tests were also accomplished with this production version of the MD80, a Swissair jetliner, the lead-off customer for the MD80. One of the required FAA tests involved demonstrating an inadvertent deployment of the thrust reverser during flight and the inability to stow it. The MD80 maintains good control, and subsequently, a successful and very uneventful landing is made with one reverser fully deployed. This MD80 takeoff test is being made through a pit filled with nearly 1 inch of water to demonstrate the MD80 capability under extreme wet runway conditions. No water was ingested into the engines. The engines are protected by the nose gear spray deflector, which very effectively directs the water outboard. The tests you have just seen are only a few of the many that were made on the MD80 during its flight test certification program. These tests were very extensive and stringent and verified the essential integrity of this outstanding new aircraft. The MD80 is now in service with airlines around the world. It is achieving an outstanding record as the leading twin jet of the 1980s and beyond.